Hi there. Let's talk about business ideas that feel criminal, but they have money. Basically, we are talking about those business ideas which seem to be in a gray area. They kind of genius, but also seem unethical. But at the end of the day, they are very legal. Because guys, out here, business ideas are unlimited. And that's why today I want to talk about 10 such ideas which you could think about utilizing them in any way to assist your business grow. You are all much welcomed to the Money Daily TV. My name is Afagza Sifuna. And with that, the very first business idea is the idea of luxury products markup. Basically, you thinking about value addition either on basic products or even so luxury products and then making them very unique in a way that you can flip the price upwards. And I'm pretty sure where you are, you've seen that. For example, even people importing second-hand products and then they go about, for example, cleaning them. When they go to the market, they seem to have a high value. And by the way, I'm pretty sure, regardless where you are in the country, for example, you have seen even when it comes to shoes, people import shoes which are second hand and then they do some form of value addition to them. Maybe wash those shoes, maybe add some form of maybe they add dye to those shoes and then they sell them. They could even end up selling those shoes more than 10 times the price which they bought them. Of course, it's a thin line between illegality and you doing this smartly. Because, for example, in case you import something that's fake and then put a brand name there, claiming that it is the legit thing, you're going to be selling counterfeit, which actually is very illegal. But you can go smart around it to increase value through other alternative means. Okay? And then the second idea, which you could look to jump onto, is the idea of you providing expert courses on common knowledge, which basically mean you packaging common knowledge which is out there, for example, on Google, and then pretend as a kind of like an expert knowledge which people are going to pay for. For example, even simple things like, for example, how to use a smartphone's maybe Bluetooth, okay? How to use Google Calendar. All this information is available on Google, just a simple search. Someone is going to find a solution. But there is a way, for example, you can package that, maybe drill down to a given topic or even very few topics, and then package that as a fully fledged course, and then finding a way of selling that. The interesting things that, ironically, out here, almost everybody out there want to get or access information easily. You can easily do that and then package. Based on how you're marketing it, you can end up having clients. Okay? And then the third idea of going about, for example, a business in a way that's bordering criminal but also is very legal is you doing drop servicing. What do I mean? It is basically you selling services at very premium prices. But of course, also with these, you need to do your own research to see how you can package them. It could be a simple thing as, for example, web designing. And for example, in web designing, we have people out there who even sell websites at upwards of, for example, 2,000 US dollars. But in reality, they could have made this website, for example, using even, like, for example, WordPress, default templates, whose cost is even under 100 US dollars, and then they flip that upwards of 20 times. Basically, because they have understanding of how they can translate very basic available services to look like it's premium service. But of course, at the end of the day, it is also legal because it has a willing buyer, willing seller. Of course, the willing seller has knowledge of the market, where to access very basic or available services and then packaging them to sell to an available seller, and at the end, that particular to sell to an available buyer, and then at the end, the seller makes a good amount of money. And then the fourth idea, and actually is very prevalent across different sectors out there, is whereby people create fake scarcity and agency. You know, out here, once there's, for example, a sense of urgency in a given product, most times people out there are gonna go for it. For example, you could find, for example, someone is doing their main business, and then they say, for example, we have a discount for only 3 days or even 7 days. That is gonna make people out there rush to buy a particular product. But in reality, they're looking at a way, for example, to clearing their stock or even so, just increasing their sales. And that's why even we see out here, for example, we normally have huge amounts of media discounts, and even we're talking about, for example, end of year discounts around November, October, thereabout, and then media June, July, thereabout. is because a good chunk of businesses out there maybe want to clean the stock they have to get out of the market to replenish their stocks, or even so, they are looking at ways how they can increase their sales in a way that creating sense of urgency and also scarcity. So you could utilize that in your business for you to be able to increase your sales. And then the fifth idea, which could look to jump onto, is the idea of you utilizing subscription boxes, which actually include very cheap crap in them. I'm pretty sure even come the end of the year, you see, for example, a good chunk of retail points out there saying maybe if you buy products to X amount of money, you can get a mysterious gift box. Okay? It is interesting because a good chunk of shoppers out there believe that actually they can get a very valuable gift. But also, you could decide to be borderline criminal or somewhat near unethical by having very cheap crap in those boxes. For example, things like, for example, snacks, things like, for example, stickers, or even very basic of things. And yet, you're going to be driving people to buy things to a given amount of money and then guarantee them that, hey, they can get a given maybe gift box. Yet in reality, you know, everything those gift box is very, very cheap. So you're tricking people out there to lock sales, and yet in reality, what they are getting back is somewhat a raw deal. And then the sixth idea is the idea of using automated AI to do some tasks out there. For example, ghostwriting using AI. Maybe there are people out there or a person out there who's looking for ghostwriting services. You can tell them, yes, you can do it to perfection. And then in reality, at the back end, you are utilizing technology, specifically AI, to assist you draw from the concept to whatever output they need and then deliver to them as if it's original work. Of course, with these, you need to be quite cautious because also it is good to add some authenticity in that particular output, given we also know AI is sometimes duplicative based on how the model was trained. So you could look to utilize AI at the base of it and then add some taste of your own uniqueness to sell that particular premium product, which of course for the largest extent you haven't really put in lots of work. And then the seventh idea is the idea of you starting something which is borderline pay to play, kind of like website. Out here, we have a good chunk of businesses which in reality are capitalizing on other people's efforts to be able to make money. Look at it even from the basic of solutions which you use out here. Okay, whether it is, for example, very basic retailing services, even websites out here, for example, which creatives use to sell their works. Maybe there is maybe a music producer out there who's selling the instrumental. We have a ton of websites out there which facilitate that. But in reality, all these are basic pay to play platforms because you need to pay to have memberships there, and even so, those websites also are earning from your effort. Of course, at the end of it, they have availed you a marketplace, but in reality, you are the one who's working hard to ensure that these websites stay alive. But even so, you have to work hard for you to also get to business. So at the end of it, you can start such kind of platform, and in little time, if you do proper marketing, you're gonna have people working for you and you partaking in their revenue. And then the eighth business idea, which is borderline criminal, is basically you fixing a problem which you've created. If there's a way you can create a problem, which of course is a good problem, not a problem which is, for example, a disaster, and then providing a solution for it, at the end, you're gonna make money because you have the solution to that particular problem. And to give you an example, maybe out there we have these companies, which of course they are made and sold as maybe smartphones, maybe laptops. But then again, the same companies could start selling us blue screens because of because they could say, for example, they're assisting people are using these gadgets out there to be able to avoid maybe eye issues. Yet in reality, they have the problem which they created, and then they are selling you an additional product at also a high price for you to be able to solve the problem. So they had the problem first, and then they provided you the solution. So if you can have such kind of business model, at the end of it is legal because you're gonna be solving a real issue, but in reality, it is the issue which you created by yourself and pushed to the market. And then the ninth business idea, which you could look to jump onto and actually is borderline criminal too, but very legal, is you repackaging common knowledge as consulting. Of course, this is somewhat a contentious topic because consultants out here, from the base of it, they are experts, and they normally do research before providing consultancy opinions out there. But you could be a crook, maybe you're not qualified, and then you package common knowledge as consultancy. At the end of the day, if you are assisting someone solve a problem, then in reality, you have assisted them solve a problem and also you've gotten your money. But this idea is borderline criminal because in case you try that in a regulated sector, maybe medical field, maybe legal field, etc., that is outright criminal because you're gonna be behaving like an imposter who is not accredited to maybe to practice in a particular area. But if it's other open areas, you could package common knowledge as consultancy and then sell to people out there who are willing to buy this knowledge either through referrals or even so they think is beneficial to them. And then the last business idea, which I think is outright criminal because you're going to be playing with people's psychology, is outright creating an ugly product so that people you can be able to trend and then people can be able even to buy this product as a form of testing what they are seeing out there. And with this, you're going to basically be riding on negative emotions for you to be in business. And of course, you've seen such scenarios out there where, for example, someone puts out there either a negative piece of news in form of maybe a soft product or even so a hard product, and then utilize that to get people to give them money, either through direct buy or even so a follow-up product. So you could use this particular tactic for you to be able to also make money. Guys, what do you think about these ideas? Do you think there are other business ideas out there which are borderline criminal, but there are actually ways through which you can make money? If there exist ideas like that out there, share that in the comment section so that people can be able to know about these ideas for them to either think about utilizing them or even so just to have an open mind and eye when it comes to what is happening in the market. Cheers, guys, and look forward to share with you other amazing business ideas next time. Stay safe.